For time beyond memory, people have experienced at first hand physical, visual, and auditory events which could not be explained, and so it was feared. Today, we call this the paranormal. Our podcast will delve into this world of the unknown. So sit back and join Tina, Jake, Chris, Bridget, and Bill and journey into the darkness with us. Welcome to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast.
Hey guys, we're on the third episode of Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast, and today we've all decided that we're going to do this episode on Castletown House in Selbridge in Kildare. So Castletown House, the reason we have decided to do this building is because last week we done the Hellfire Club. Our last podcast we done the Hellfire, and we done Loftus Hall before that, and there is a link between the three, and that would be the devil. We'll get into that soon. So there's myself, Tina, Jake, Billy and Chris, and as always we'll start off with the history of this building, and we will pass this over to Chris.
Thanks very much, Tina. Lovely introduction. Yeah, we were actually talking, guys, before we started recording this episode about the history of this place. It goes on and on and on in relation to the building itself. So what I done and what we kind of agreed to do is just kind of give you basic bullet points of certain times through the history of it, and then we'll get into the legends and stuff and all that later on. But Castletown House itself was built in the 1720s for William Connolly on an 800-acre estate, and it was actually designed to reflect the owner's power and wealth. However, William himself died in 1729, so when you look at that, really he didn't get a whole lot of use of the building before his death. The building underwent heavy renovations in 1759 due to the arrival of Lady Louisa Connolly, who had married Thomas Connolly, William's grandnephew. These renovations included the inclusion of a great staircase, and further changes were made to the front of the house. After Lady Louisa's death in 1821, there was some other alterations made, but there was nothing kind of great drasticness took place or anything like that. Fast forward into 1965, it was sold, and unfortunately it was left vacant, and vandalism was carried out on the property. Included things like lead was taken off the roof, windows were smashed and stuff like that. So in 1967, the house and 120 acres was bought by Desmond Guinness, who began to restore the house and the furnishings within it. In 1979, the Castletown Foundation was established to help manage the building and own the building. However, but the upkeep was actually a struggle. It later became the property of the OPW in 1994, who carried out further repairs on the building before it was reopened to the public in 1999. And that, as I said, guys, is just some, I suppose, a snippet of the history of that building. So there you go.
It's interesting. There's a lot to take in.
There's a lot of reading on that place.
There's one thing I want to add in, just because you've just done the history that was interesting that I had come across today. So when Guinness's bought this, in what year did you say? Or approximately?
It was, no, I'll check my notes.
60s.
Because when he bought that, he went to the auction that was in Castletown House when it was everything was being sold off, and Guinness went in and he bought the 3 chandeliers, which are absolutely stunning, and he bought different bits of furniture because he had always planned to buy the house. So this was the original when it went for sale, and he didn't get it. Okay. So he had bought the chandeliers, different bits of furniture, because he had intended to always keep them in the house, and then he was outbid in the auction, and somebody else bought the house, and they owned the house for a certain amount of years. Obviously, I don't know about the years, but they owned the house, and they got into trouble then, and Guinness stepped in, and then he bought the house, which was really interesting because you didn't know that.
No.
Yeah.
And the thing about all those places is there's always some bad luck that kind of
attached.
goes with, there's something always goes wrong with these places. There's never anything just goes smoothly, you know.
And then when he bought the place, he had owned it then for a certain amount of time, and then he passed it on then to the OPW, wasn't it? He said, I think that's who it was
So-
sold to then, the OPW.
Yeah, so no, because I just have to go back because he asked me a question and I can't let it go.
I'll let it go. Let it go, Chris. Let it go.
1967, and then Castletown Foundation 1979, and then OPW 1984.
Oh, grand.
And you two have been there, haven't you?
We went, myself and Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a day trip. We went off driving, and we had heard about the 3 locations.
Yeah, okay.
We had heard about Loftus Hall, the Hellfire Club, and Castletown House, that possibly there was some sort of link between them, like the architect or the builder, and there is. So who wants to explain the link between the 3?
Yeah, there's a few variations of the story, but the one that I researched was Tom Connolly, who owned the house, was a hunter. Just like, I think it was his uncle, was it William?
yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
William, his uncle was also a hunter who hunted up in the Dublin Mountains, or in the Hellfire Club.
Hunting Lodge.
Hunting Lodge.
Yeah.
One day when Tom Connolly was on one of his hunts, they came across a stranger dressed in all black, riding a large black horse, who asked to join them.
Could I join you?
Tom Connolly said yes,
Yes, you may.
and they went off hunting for the day, and after their hunt they went back to Castletown House for dinner, where they all had however many courses and whatever, had fun, drinks. They went to play a card game after the dinner, to where this is where the link comes in with Loftus Hall and the Hellfire Club. Something dropped on the ground. Tom Connolly went down to pick it up, to where he noticed 2 hooves on the ground where the stranger was sitting. He stood up and he shouted, apparently he shouted, "You are the devil, you are not welcome here."
You are the devil. You are not welcome
To
here.
where the devil laughed, and he said that he thinks he'll stay, the food and drinks are great. And Tom Connolly asked one of his servants to run to the village and fetch the priest, which was apparently Father Mulcahy, who then came with a Bible and a crucifix. When he challenged the devil laughed again, and as the story goes, Father Mulcahy threw the Bible at the devil, which bounced off the devil's head and hit the mirror behind him, which is allegedly still the mirror that is sitting there today, where the Bible hit. And yeah, he went up the chimney in a ball of flames and wasn't seen again. So there's the link to Loftus Hall and the Hellfire Club.
Yeah, what I find interesting about this place, especially, is there's a few slight variations to the other two.
There is, yeah.
Like Jake's recount of the devil appearing, there's a slight variation to that at the beginning, and then previous to that again, 10 years previous, I think it might have been, was it Lady Anne Wentworth. She was in the Great Hall and she looked up and she saw a man standing on a staircase that wasn't there, basically.
Yeah.
And he started coming down the staircase, and he stopped at a mirror and just looked at her and smirked.
There was a demonic laugh.
Yeah, and then it wasn't seen for 10 years. But then Jake's story as well, when they were out hunting, when they first came upon this stranger, he disappeared over a hill, and they went up and obviously looked on the far side of the hill, and he had the corpse of a fox.
Yeah.
This is when they were hunting, wasn't
when
it?
they were hunting, and he pulled the fox's brush, or his tail, I think it's called a brush, and offered it.
This fox
He bit it.
says,
And and then obviously he still invited him up to the house because there were gentry at that time. So
Yeah, and there's actually, and again, it's just what you were saying about the variations. Another one is the exact same as Jake's, except he got comfortable or something like that, and he was asleep in the chair.
That's the one I read.
And
Yeah.
again, they said he'd be more comfortable without his boots on.
He was
So
asleep.
he was asleep. So when the servant went over and obviously removed his boots, he saw the cloven hoof. The priest was summoned. The stranger awoke, laughed at the priest's prayers, and turned through the Bible at him, but instead of hitting him on the head, passed straight through him
That's what I read.
and hit the mirror.
Yeah. On the ground.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Hidden fireplace. And wasn't there a crack in the fireplace that's still
There's a
there to
crack in
this
the
day?
mantle and
Yeah.
a crack in the mirror, but I did hear that as well about the
Floor.
yeah.
I seen pictures of supposedly where the floor is damaged. That's still in Castletown House. Supposedly that's where
Yeah.
that happened.
But that's the and again, that's the thing I like about these stories. There's different variations, different it, but if there's anyone we haven't been inside the building itself, and we'd like to, if the managers of the property ever want us to go in, we're more than
We'll go
happy to.
in.
Absolutely.
What's fascinating about this story is the length that the devil stayed there in the conversation, which didn't happen. It's
Yeah.
not recounted
Yeah,
And
in
any
Hellfire
other
Club or Loftus Hall.
exactly. And so, like the question I suppose as well I'd have is that now we've done the 3 episodes on this and that.
Well, I have
ends.
to add
Yeah.
about the priest.
Yeah.
The priest only lived for 9 months after that incident.
Oh,
That was
really?
at the
Yeah.
bottom, apparently. So, 9 months, the priest died 9 months later.
Alright.
So he had a very short life after the encountering
incident, yeah.
the
Alright.
devil.
Again, that's I didn't actually know that. You
Yeah.
actually see that now. But the question is as well, I'll ask all of you, which do you think is the most notorious location for that story, do you think?
Loftus Hall to me is probably, as in for the devil appearing there,
devil
the 3 locations.
Yeah, yeah,
I think Loftus Hall probably. I think maybe because the first one I heard.
yeah.
And you see, with me, I would think the Hellfire. And the only reason I think the Hellfire is because that's where I'm originally from.
The Hellfire.
Now, not the, that's where I
I
lived.
knew it. I knew
You see. But now I'm from Dublin. So the Hellfire.
That speaks for itself. That's not a bad thing, by the way.
And I suppose Loftus Hall it's a love of mine.
Yeah.
But I knew the Hellfire before Loftus, so I have to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
loyal
Did
to
you actually
the
know the
Hellfire.
Hellfire before Loftus?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Well,
like
I'd been
when I was
to
in
the
primary
Hellfire.
school.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'd been to the Hellfire before Loftus.
Before
but
Loftus, yeah.
I think the devil story in Loftus just stuck with me
Yeah.
more than the Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why.
And you, Jack?
I think, well, my favourite story of it would be from Loftus Hall, but I feel like the Hellfire Club would be
More notorious.
the more notorious story of it.
Yeah.
Just
Like
just because it's in Dublin, it's
Yeah,
it's,
Like-
We should put a poll up.
Yeah.
Actually, there's an idea.
Yeah.
there's
Well,
an
the
idea.
Castletown House seems more. I
Well,
don't know,
Jake hadn't heard of Castletown
No,
House
I hadn't
until
even
we
heard of it,
started
yeah.
researching.
more of a. It's more of a story.
Yeah.
The Castletown House one. It's recanted more.
Yeah.
Storytelling.
To add this, you see, we're not from around there, but I went on to a local social media group from around Selbridge and Kildare, and you see people that live around there
Yeah.
could possibly disagree
Yeah.
because when Castletown House was built, it had 800
Acres,
acres. It only has 120 acres now. Really starting again.
I've started. No, I won't.
You may as well do it now because people are going to be wondering why you're laughing.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I heard Chris.
It's not funny this time.
I heard Chris's 2 acres. He slipped and landed on a fence.
That joke just didn't come out right.
This-
Well, by the way, this was a re-recording.
We
this
had
is a
to-
re-recording.
This is a
Yeah.
We had to
re-record.
re-record.
And Billy just,
Billy-
Billy just messed up the whole joke.
Billy got the giggles. Okay,
Which is allowed.
so 800 acres. Now it has 120 acres. So the rest had been sold off to developers.
Yeah.
So there's a huge amount of housing estates all around there. And the reports of hauntings in the houses. I read one. I don't mind saying it because I don't know the family, I don't know the
Yeah.
name, but she did put it up on a public site. So the story was that she had bought the house, her and her family had bought the house, and she only stayed there 1 year.
Yeah.
The house, she said, 100% haunted to her, 100% haunted. I was absolutely terrified in it. And they sold the house after a year. And the house has been sold on a good bit since. And loads of houses all around that were built on the property seemingly have
Interesting.
experience of haunting. So that I just wanted to add that because
Absolutely.
I knew the Hellfire because I'm from Dublin,
Yeah.
Loftus Hall, obviously. But when you're from Selbridge or Kildare,
Yeah.
maybe that's as notorious around there. I don't know.
There's a lot of stone circles up in that place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You see,
I love going up to visit those things.
No, but that could be another thing as well.
Yeah.
like
That
the roads and stuff
definitely.
like
Yeah.
that.
There's a lot.
If there is people from and just wanted to capitalise on what Tina said there, if there is people listening from that area and you want to tell us your stories,
oh, I'd love to.
if we could get maybe 3 stories, we can do a podcast on that.
Yeah, you can send us
Get
in a
what I mean?
recording and we can add it to the podcast, or we can record a call with you guys.
And
Yeah,
Facebook would be
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
best place to send
Yeah.
it into, Facebook.
But no, you're right, Billy, and I suppose I'm just going to go Loftus Hall because it was kind of the first one I ever heard of that
I
kind
know.
of story.
Well, Loftus Hall is infamous for so many other stories.
Yeah.
Not just that one, but and hauntings and stuff like that as well. That I think, because we've been there so much, we can sort of
Yeah.
we, we're very familiar with it.
Well, have you been up at Castletown House?
I've never been to Castletown.
You have, you, Jay?
No, never.
We must actually organise it. But,
We'll go up.
but I tell you, it's literally when I remember when I said, literally when you walk into it, it's like a bigger version of Loftus Hall.
Yeah.
It's
From the
massive.
photographs, it looks
It's
huge.
unbelievable.
There's the house, which is similar to Loftus but bigger. But then there's 2 extra wings.
Yeah.
And they're
Like-
probably added on later on. Yeah.
There's 2 extra, and
It's
there's the
massive.
big, the big, what are they? Big.
He doing hand
Trees.
gestures.
I'm doing
trees.
hand gestures here,
Pillars.
like pillars.
Yeah.
There's loads of pillars and everything. When you think about it, like 229 windows.
Yeah.
Like it's bigger than Loftus,
It's
but the
crazy.
style is very similar.
You wouldn't want to play football up there, really.
No.
Outside.
But no, we walked around.
It's a public park. You're allowed
like
in.
You're allowed. Like one of my friends actually walks his dogs around there and all.
Yeah.
And it's open to the
And they
public.
do day tours in the house.
okay.
You have to make sure it's open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure to book or something like
Yeah.
that. But I do want to go and do the day.
Definitely. Yeah.
How many rooms did you say before we
100.
100 rooms? Actually
100.
imagine that.
Yeah, it's a 100 detached house with 2 bathrooms.
Go on, price is 295,000. Contact Rush's auctioneers.
Rush's auctioneers. He's got 2 acres. Hey!
Oh, you got it
2
now.
acres of
I
land.
got it.
Well, you know, the land was, as you said, Tina, 800 acres subdivided. 120 is still on remain up there. But I just find it
800 acres.
And like, I find it interesting now that you said about the developments. I'd be really interested to see what other stories we can get out of that.
And it was an Italian guy who designed this place.
Right.
I had his name,
Yeah.
but it was an Italian guy who designed this place. And that's why you get the little quirky, the pillars and things
Oh, yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But yeah, I forget his name, obviously, but
Yeah.
you know, I know all the little facts. I just forget the important bits
Yeah.
of the year and the person, but I know all the little bits.
We know the location.
And the location.
So again, going back to the 3 locations: Loftus, Hellfire, Castletown. I'm going to just pick on Billy, because you were just. It's not that you're amazed; it's the wrong word to use, but.
But that joke was shite, Billy. So
I'm picking on because of the joke. No, but the devil
Still
spoke
shite
apparently. The devil spoke apparently in Castletown.
Yeah.
I know this could be another episode called apparently.
Well,
But what made why? What's your opinion? Why would he have spoke there and not?
I think
the
it's
others,
just
or-
the stories that have been recounted from it. Obviously,
Yeah.
Exactly.
he probably spoke in Loftus Hall. Obviously,
Yeah,
in the stories he probably spoke in the Hellfire Club.
yeah,
It's just because it's recanted again with detail that kind of what he was said in the conversation that went on.
Do you think that
And
would have
the
changed over
yeah.
years as well?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
I think so as well. Yeah, like,
Absolutely.
and again, it's not to take away from the fact it's a phenomenal building, like it really is. But if you want to go down that road, I'd say some people try to make it really dark, and then some people don't.
What
want
can
it,
you
know?
imagine, like back in the day when before electricity and stuff, people sitting around talking about
Of
that,
course, yeah,
telling stories
yeah.
what it was like,
Yeah.
you know, by fire, just and candlelight
yeah.
in the
and
dark.
back in the day in Ireland, stories of the devil were notorious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They just were notorious. That's what I was reading up on over the last while as well, is stories of the devil.
yeah,
So the devil in Ireland and crossroads.
yeah. Crossroads. Yeah.
Like you could do a whole episode on
Which we
all
will.
the crossroads
Yeah.
around Ireland that the devil, the stories. I didn't know that, but
But there's a lot of hauntings on crossroads and stuff like that. And then
it's
modern day
notorious.
version of it is the phantom hitchhikers and stuff, which we will get into all that type of stuff, you know. But
There's loads more to
there's
cover.
So much to cover, and we want to cover much as we can over our podcasts, you know. But
Absolutely. But everywhere he's been, he's left his mark, so to speak.
yeah,
Like in Loftus, apparently the roof couldn't be, and in Castletown, the mirror and the mantle was cracked, and in some stories, as you were saying,
The
Tina,
floor.
and then the Hellfire Club, they say that's why it was burnt down. So
Yeah.
he didn't show up just to have a bit of a fucking shindig and say how he's lads and
Yeah.
move on. Like
I think they just don't understand. He's misunderstood.
he's misunderstood. Like he's not all that.
I don't think he's a
I'll give him a call there
troublemaker.
and see what's his problem with it.
Yeah.
His phone number is 666-666666. 666, and he's only in at 666.
And what's the area called?
666.
All right, grand, perfect.
Obviously.
But, no, but everywhere that the stories were linked to, there's always been some kind of like damage or some kind of leaving his mark there.
Well, he's seen as a powerful entity. I'm sure
Yeah.
he's not just going to disappear and that's it. You know, like for him to disappear and for something to break or something to something like that, it shows how powerful that people believe him to be.
Yeah.
You know.
And Jake, a question for you. I just love picking up. Can we call this episode Chris Picks on the Team?
We do this in every podcast.
No, I just love doing it. So the Hellfire Club seemed to be an organisation that were welcoming the devil, whereas the other two places were just going about their daily business or whatever, like a storm hit Loftus and all that kind of stuff, or they were out on a hunt in Castletown and all that. And the Hellfire Club were welcoming. Why would you think he just randomly appeared in the other places?
That's a good question.
Jake is just looking and goes, "You absolute." No. So he was welcomed into one place, and he still apparently done damage and stuff like
Broke it
that.
up.
But then he just broke it up. Yeah.
I'm not sure now, but we have a neighbour here where we live, and he's from down around Loftus Hall, and he's told me countless stories
Yeah.
of the Hook Peninsula.
Yeah.
And everyone who lives down there knows that the Hook Peninsula, where Loftus Hall is just a really strange place.
Yeah.
He told me stories of boats going missing, children going missing, like whole teams or whole crew of
yeah.
fishermen going missing, like, you know, just really, really strange things. So that, you know,
Yeah.
that's an interesting kind
Absolutely.
of way to look at it.
Again, guys, this is kind of like a recap of episodes because we've done more or less 3 episodes on the whole.
Can I just ask you, sorry for butting in,
Are you
Chris?
going to pick on me?
No, but William Connolly, his connection with the Hellfire and with Castletown House, he was the architect of both, or he owned both, or what?
He built the Hellfire as a
Okay.
hunting lodge.
He's a
and then
politician.
Yeah, I knew he was
And then
the-
Castletown House was built for him.
Yes, that's what I was.
No, absolutely, yeah. But then
Now the link could, sorry, Chris.
Yeah, all right.
The link as well, just a weird kind of, could be a coincidence, but obviously the Hellfire Club and Castletown House were both related to William Connolly, and
yeah.
the grounds of the Hellfire Club, it was a rat farm,
That's it, yeah.
something.
Yeah.
That was owned by Aloptus before
Yeah, wasn't
William Connolly.
I think wasn't it Henry? No,
Henry,
again,
it could be.
this is that stuff off the top of my head. Stuff
Yeah,
like
but
that,
let's
so
say
I think it's
Mr. Loftus.
Yeah.
Mr. Loftus.
No first name.
No, I think it was Henry, and he was he the uncle of Charles Loftus, or either Charles was his uncle?
And also Charles was known to travel up and down to Dublin.
Yeah.
So that could be another little link between the Hellfire
Absolutely,
Club and
I
why the
almost-
devil showed up in Loftus Hall,
Yeah.
and you know, there's all weird coincidental links, it seems.
I also have a question, Chris,
Oh,
and Tina, and Jake. These families that the devil apparently appeared to,
Yeah.
like they're going to be synonymous with the devil appearing to them.
Yeah.
Do you think that they would have denied it back in the day, or do you think that like they would have been hiding the fact that this happened? Obviously, people know now that it happened, but do you think?
Well, we had
What's
a
your
good.
opinion on that?
Tina actually had a very thing when we done the episode with the guys on the overnight. You actually, correct me if I'm wrong now, was it you that said that you think they made that story
Oh God,
up
yeah.
to cover the fact that Anne was pregnant out of wedlock, and they said,
Yeah.
"Oh, the devil came."
That's why I asked you.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Because it would be, back in the day, it would be much more acceptable for the devil to come in and wreck everything, rather than her have relations out of wedlock and so young, and
Yeah.
so it would be a lot more acceptable for that type of event
Yeah.
then they were total shame to the family.
But Castletown
And
House
they killed him, I
doesn't
think.
have that.
Yeah.
No.
So
So why Castletown House would be different to Loftus Hall?
well, no, and can I just answer the Hellfire first? Because I had
Yeah,
it
oh,
I
sorry.
had it preempted in my head before you said Castle.
Okay, take two. Chris, why do you think the Hellfire Club has its devil story? Over to you, Chris.
Oh no, can I just
Do
answer?
tell.
Can I just answer Castletown House because I had that preempted in my head?
For fuck's sake.
No, so the Hellfire Club, it's a. Geez, you can't really say if it did or didn't happen because now you're nearly putting a bracket. But no, it's easy to say that story if you're the Hellfire Club saying, "Oh, we are bad, we're notorious, don't mess with us. The devil comes to our parties, you're fucking
Yeah.
with us.
We've
fuck-" do you know,
hosted, we've drank with the devil.
We've drank with the worst, and do you know that kind
Yeah.
of scenario. So you
I'd
can see where
agree.
that story came from.
Yeah.
Castletown House,
Yeah,
I'd
go on.
say the devil was just plastering when they were building it. And
Plastered, or they were plastered.
no, but it could be whole, like the connection of William Connolly.
Could be that.
It could be he could have told a story, and oh Jesus, who's that lad?
Was there a Loftus kind of attached to Castletown House?
Yeah,
The relation, we were just saying
yeah,
that.
yeah. So again, like you have some kind of connections.
William Connolly, Loftus, between the three of
The
them, like
stories could have been told in the
If we're
family.
saying Loftus, why would the devil appear in three different locations
Because-
associated with the Loftus?
Oh no, yeah.
Your
yeah,
opinion, Jake, on that one? Why?
Well, it could be a fact that, Charles Tottenham lived in Loftus Hall, travelled up and down to
Yeah.
Dublin.
Yeah.
The Loftus name was associated with the land of the Hellfire Club,
Yeah.
and the land of the Hellfire Club, who owned that after, was associated with Castletown
And
House.
they're two
Well,
very
maybe
powerful families.
The
as well.
devil
pa-
story
so-
came in because
Yeah.
of
A story could have weaved between the family, like over
Think
the
of
years,
No, you're dead right. But
And they're all similar years.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
think
not
of
this.
a story handed down to you when you were younger.
Mm.
You know, or whatever. Like again, I'm not saying a story of anyone at the table, but you've all heard the story of, oh, my cousin seen Banshee, one,
Banshee,
do you know,
yeah.
whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But then she seen it, and the Banshee was on a unicycle. You know,
Yeah.
But, and again, I'm not trying to be funny there, but
it's a giraffe at the bottom of the town and a turkey at the top of the
exactly.
town. kind of
But,
story. Yeah.
so that's where possibly the link could have came from. What you were saying with William Connolly, the Hellfire Club, and then
Loftus's.
notoriously with hunts and some strangers
hunting, yeah.
joined in on a hunt one night. We done maybe a row broke out and they kicked them out of the house.
But it's intriguing
You know?
that 10 years previous there's an account of stranger in
You didn't tell that, I think,
Castletown
in
House.
this.
I did, we did speak about that.
Yeah.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Yeah,
But that's the weird thing that they kind of had two
yeah,
recounts of the. Well, the first one doesn't say it's the devil, but obviously this man walked down the stairs.
People recall that as the Castletown House ghost.
Yeah.
But Tina was saying like was it like a
People say
demonic
that is.
laughter or presence or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, you see, that's where the different accounts come in.
Yeah.
They said that it was the devil both times because
Yeah.
they both had long grey coats and
Yeah.
grey boots. Another one says it was long black coat.
She had black boots.
So, but what they said was both of them had a demonic laugh.
Yeah.
So that's why they put the two of them together, the demonic laugh.
Another now, I think I read this when I was doing a bit of research. Again, you probably did as well. Originally, when he came on the hunt, or when he arrived to the hunting party, when he was first seen, he had like hair growing out of his nose,
Nose and his
hair growing
ears,
out of his
yeah.
ears, yeah, as well.
Yeah.
So already he was kind of giving the impression of
And yellow teeth, he smiled or something, or he yellow teeth, or I read about that as well. And he bit the tail off.
off the box, yeah.
And that's why William Connolly, was it him that was hunting, or was
Well,
it?
when he was
Tom,
hunting,
Tom.
Thomas, when he was hunting, he didn't speak either. So it's only
Yeah.
in the house he spoke.
He spoke.
Yes.
No, it's just interesting. Like this is kind of why we do the podcast, really, to have a conversation about it. And
Yeah.
that's why I just like picking on people's opinions.
We're like paranormal detectives.
Paranormal parasites.
That's it.
Well, we could come on and push a story, but
Yeah,
push a story that we all don't
yeah.
think, but we're not going to do that either.
It's just interesting, and like I
We
think,
give our viewpoints.
and like some people,
Exactly, yeah.
some people as well, when we put the post up on the page, they'll always mention the other story or the
Exactly,
other two.
yeah.
Do
We
you know
love
what I
that
mean?
as
But we
well,
love hearing that.
Absolutely.
But we all have our own opinion on it. As Chris asked earlier, what's my opinion? What's Jake's opinion? What's Tina's opinion?
Yeah.
And when Chris wants
They're
an
all-
opinion, we'll give him one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to make it funny somewhere, Chris. I'm sorry. We love Chris. We absolutely love him.
Take two. No, but yeah, and like I suppose now, what's the word I'm looking for? The Hellfire's gone. Loftus, we can't get into it anymore. Now we just kind of want to get into Castletown House.
Castletown House again. As we're speaking about these three locations, Loftus Hall. We're getting back to why it stands out is because of the other hauntings, because of all the other hauntings that are recounted there. Like, obviously, we don't hear of it much in Castletown House. Like, but Loftus Hall has ghost stories.
Yeah.
So going back to Loftus Hall, what stands out to me, Chris's question earlier, which was a fantastic question. The thing that stands out to me about Loftus Hall more than the other two are the other hauntings that are associated with it.
Yeah.
Like Lady Anne Tottenham, the nuns that are apparently seen on the stair well, and stuff like that. So I think that's why Loftus Hall for me stands out more, because we've obviously done investigations down there and we've gathered some anomalies.
And also, like, I did go looking for other hauntings in Castletown House. There really isn't a lot of hauntings. The only stories that I found, was it the same with you lads?
It's very limited, yeah.
The only hauntings that I got were from the two devils.
I'd love to do an overnight there.
Yeah, no, it would be good.
You see,
I
like,
don't think anybody ever has.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and like, as I saed at the start, there's history upon history on the
There's
place,
loads of
which is
history.
brilliant, don't get me wrong, but very limited on regards to.
And I did see a tour guide who put up, an ex-tour guide, who put up, really, it was on the boards, you know, the information. He said he worked there years, he never seen, and he didn't see a haunting, and that's why we take everything into account.
Absolutely.
And that's when I went outside the house and I went into the area and the land around it, and that seems to be where there was a lot of information.
Yeah, well, some places as well just have an aura about them when you walk in. You just kind of feel something different.
Hellfire you do, Loftus you did, Castletown House, I don't know.
Yes, to be determined.
Yeah, yet to be determined.
Yet to be determined. Good.
Or if any people worked there.
If you can let us know if you've had an experience there, guys. Let us know.
And you can stay anonymous. We'll credit your name if you want us to, but I think it's good. And that Tina highlighted that about. I know I'm kind of repeating what I said about the grounds earlier, but if we could get like some stories from there, we could do like an episode on that. That
or any location that we're doing, that would be interesting.
So that's basically it from my point of view. The questions. Anyone got any questions from Billy? You any questions?
How would you feel about going into Castletown House sometime with us to do a tour of it, just a day tour even, just to walk around and see what it's like in there?
Oh, I think, no, we'll sort it, definitely. That's what I was thinking when I was looking at it today. We'll definitely sort it.
So sees that mirror there.
And the grounds, the 800 acres.
Yeah, that's what I had seen. So it's like the old stone floor. There's a crack in the floor.
Okay.
And what they said was that crack is there since the devil. I didn't see he went up through the roof rat, and there was a yellow flame and he sort of vaporized. He was gone then.
There's a few different recounts of that as well.
Yeah.
I was reading, like, he vanished into thin air. He went up the chimney, as Jake said.
The book went through him. The book hit him on the head.
Yeah, there's always variations. But that again is down. That again is kind of like storytelling of old anyway. Because
he could have scored a goal for Ireland.
He could, if he had a head like that.
With 200 windows, he could have been a lot of damage. But like that's getting back to the old storytelling. In Ireland as well. Like there's slight variations, and there always will be.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like in another 100 years' time, like there'll be more variations.
Yeah.
You know, again, we're telling from what we've read about and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of saying it in our words, you know. But it's it's a cool looking location. I'd love to go there.
Yeah, my view on Castletown House, personally, of course, I'd love to go inside. So we'll organise. You know, we'll go in. But I wouldn't be drawn to it. That's being honest.
Yeah.
I'm not being bad. It's amazing and visually it's gorgeous, and you know. But it's not somewhere I'm dying
it's
to
not
go.
run down enough.
Yeah. I have to, going in a door just doesn't excite me. I have to go in the window.
Yeah, through the fence.
If I went
Don't
in
do
that
that,
window. Yeah, but if I went in that window, I get arrested. So there's no point.
We have to remember the day we went to Loftus Hall and Tina thought the gate was locked.
Jesus Christ.
And she started climbing in over the wall. Do you remember that?
And then Chris opened the gate.
No, it
No?
wasn't.
Wow.
Really?
I climbed over the wall and then I was jumping down. And as I was going to jump down, Shane,
Oh,
the
yes.
owner's just like, what are you doing?
Walked over and opened the gate.
just walked over and opened it, and I'm still up on the wall. All the lads just came through the gate then. That was so funny.
And we have to tell one more. Remember the time we drove all the way down to Loftus Hall and he goes, Tina,
Got the key.
I'm after forgetting the key.
And I thought you're joking. One thing he had to do was bring the key. One
One
thing.
thing.
I had all the
2-hour
equipment.
drive.
I had all the equipment. He
And
just
you
had
had
to
to go
bring
back.
I just had to bring the No.
to ring the owner.
I had to ring the
Oh,
owner.
God.
But I'm the same, though, Tina. It wouldn't be really like Castletown House to me is just, don't get me, just looks amazing.
Beautiful.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
Not taken away from that. But as regards getting in and investigating, which would be amazing as well, it wouldn't be, you know, there's other
Yeah.
places I'd like to go.
Would be on the
or-
wish list.
Yeah.
Doesn't scare me.
Yeah, that's, doesn't scare me.
Doesn't.
It's
I'm
not
being
ominous
honest.
looking enough.
Yeah. No, I'm being honest.
And
It's
nothing
gorgeous.
against the place. It's
Oh, no,
And
not at all.
I'm glad the OPW, you know, are running it,
Yeah.
and it's kept maintained, and it should be
yeah,
kept maintained.
and it's used and people are loving
yeah,
it. Yeah.
but no, it doesn't excite me.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between Loftus Hall, the Hellfire Club, and Castletown House for me. That's
Yeah.
my. So what's your view, Billy?
I'd be of the same view of you. Opinion.
Pew,
Pew pew. I would have the same opinion as you, Tina. Obviously, the story is very intriguing. That again, getting back to the devil actually had a conversation. Again, it's through the storytelling, yada yada. But it's a very interesting story. And 10 years beforehand, the Castletown ghost, which I believe myself is related to the later story. Maybe there was trouble in the family, and that's why the story came up. I don't know.
You just don't know.
I don't know. But Chris?
No, I've gave my opinion, Billy.
Oh, sorry.
What was that? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, we were asleep at the time. Sorry.
Jake, like, can we get help here? Do you know what I mean?
Takes
Go on
the
to
bouncer.
management chat.
I told you,
Management chat.
I told you it wouldn't be on my top list to investigate, and I'd go other places. and
I
stuff.
don't have an opinion on Castletown House.
Cutthroat. Go on, Jake. Don't
Sorry,
mind
Jake.
him.
No, I don't have an opinion on Castletown House. I haven't heard anything enough
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
I've heard the stories. I've given my opinion on Loftus Hall.
And he was
Hellfire
honest.
Club.
He sort of didn't hear about it till we were
Yeah.
doing
I
the.
find the stories very interesting, but I couldn't really give my opinion on it as a
Yeah.
place just because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Now, if we end up going and having a look and
You'd be happy.
yeah,
We'd end up
talk
going.
about it then, but
We'd end up going and having an experience in it. Imagine we're doing a tour and something happened.
Imagine.
But just before we wrap up, we've covered the three areas: the Loftus Hall, the Hellfire Club, Castletown House, where the devil appeared. Does anyone have anything else kind of to
To add into it.
into that? Like just kind of final kind of conclusion.
Well,
Like,
but
we have discussed it the whole episode, so
Yeah.
I don't think there is, but if there's anywhere else in Ireland that has the connection with the devil, the card game, the cloven hoof, the feet, you know, I mean, send us a message. Let
Yeah,
us
I was
know
actually
if
going
there's
to say,
if there's anywhere else. I don't think there is. I really don't, because I'm sure we would have heard of it.
Yeah.
You know, we've looked a lot. So, but if you hear of anywhere else, I mean, let us know. But other than that, that would be my view
that
on the
wraps that
place.
kind of
Yeah,
trilogy
the last,
up. Like,
the last
Yeah.
few podcasts kind of have, I won't say climax at this one.
Good lad, Philly.
Choice awards. But the last three podcasts kind of have led to this one with the devil. And as Jake said, it's
it's good to cover three
It's
of
good
them.
to cover the three places.
They're three very prominent places in
Yeah.
paranormal in Ireland, so it's good that we talked about them.
Yeah.
Discussed them.
Where do you think we should go next?
Oh, we'll have a chat about it and we'll see.
This
We'll-
is the first time we don't have something. I mean, we've loads
but do
lined up
we?
for podcasts, but we don't have
Oh,
something.
we'll choose.
we
just haven't. We
We
haven't.
can't give anything away.
No, we have to kind of lead up
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, we have a little hint.
Yeah.
Was that a management chat again?
Oh, that's a manager. But no,
I'm not on it.
Me either.
for me, there are three locations that own that story, as in they're all, linked to that story, and it's a story that if you didn't say where you're talking about, just said that story, guaranteed someone will say one
People.
of those three locations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of think is pretty cool about it. And again, it was actually good for want of a better word, to investigate it a little bit deeper and what our opinions were on it. But yeah,
We have the
It was
info
a good
now.
refresh for the memory, you know.
yeah,
Good-
exactly.
good-
Yeah, that's it
good
from
to-
me.
Good to learn about it again.
Yeah,
Will we wrap this one up?
why
Yeah.
not?
Yep, you wrap it up, Tina.
Wrapped up.
Are you a rapper?
I'm a rapper. So that was another deadly chat. The four of us are here. Myself, Billy, Jake, and Chris. And we still haven't decided on the next podcast, but we will let you know and tune in. So, Billy,
Good night, everybody.
Jake,
Thanks for listening. Thank you very much.
Cheers, everyone.
Stay spooky. You have been listening to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast. All sound effects were sourced in Epidemic Sound app with thanks to SFX producer. Intro and outro music, Nothing to be Scared of but Kakuru, and main team background music in retrospect by Bill Ferngren. PRI podcast recorded by Jake and mixed by Bill using Adobe Audition. We hope you enjoyed our podcast, so why not join us for our next supernatural podcast coming very soon.